back to 355 Code. This is the third installment of our Build Your Own Weather App tutorial. And if you missed the first two videos, I recommend checking them out because it might be a little hard to understand without them. But basically what we've done until now is kind of build out an HTML wireframe for our app. And we've been calling data using APIs. So we got our location from a IP address based API, and we have gotten our weather data, and we've also kind of built a new data object that kind of just boils down exactly the data that we need from the weather API. And now the next step that we're going to jump into is just how to display this data in our app. So basically what we have here is we have this function which basically will return our simplified weather data. So that's what we did last time. And now what we want to do is we want to make another function, and let's call this just set current weather. And this function is basically going to display our current weather, so the weather right now, on this upper part of the display. Okay, so New York is based on our location API, and here basically we're going to have temperature, we're going to have a description, and we're going to have an icon that kind of displays what the weather is. And as you see here, I'm not really focused on styling at the moment. More on just fetching the data and displaying it. So what we're going to do here is let's see. So as I said, we need three things basically here. We're going to need our current temperature, which we called current temp, and we're going to need our current description, and we're going to need our current icon. Okay, later on we might need current main as well. But for now, let's just take these three properties, these three keys, and this will be equal to, obviously this is going to be async because we're waiting for data here, and this is going to be equal to await our simplified weather data. Great, and now basically what we want to do is we want to populate our elements. So let's see what we called our elements here in the HTML. So let's give these all IDs, just so they're a little easier to work with. And let's call this current temperature. Current temp, I'll just do it short. And we'll call this current description, and let's add an image here for our icon, and let's call this current icon. And I'm using the word current just to separate it from, sorry, this should be after this. I'm using this just to separate kind of between, our current temperature and what we're going to have in the future, which is the forecast. And now basically let's just tap into the inner HTML. We're going to get these elements by ID. So we have current temp, inner HTML, and that will be equal to current temp. Okay, so let's just run our app and see. And here I'm just going to call set current weather here at the end, so that these functions will actually run. And save. And let's try running. And you can see that now our temperature is populated by by a number, which is the current temperature in Fahrenheit. If we want, we can even add, let's say, let's say F, and run that. Okay. Again, not focusing too much here on styling, more just on practicality. And now we're going to do the same for the description. So that's document dot get element by ID, and that's going to be our current description. Dot inner HTML, and that will be equal to current description. Check it out. Okay, clear sky. And you can see that the temperature is really changing live, because every time I refresh this, it makes a call to the API, and it gets the current weather, like the weather right now in New York, and weather is dynamic, so it can change even over the course of a few minutes. And now we're going to talk about how we're going to get our icons. So the API that we used from OpenWeatherMap, so they actually have their own set of icons that you can tap into and that are related to the icon data that they pass on. So basically all you have to do is go to their API, and let's find, so you see here in the icon that we get, it's 10D, let's say, and we're going to use that in order to make a call to their icon repository and just get an icon. So here you can just click on how to get icons, and you can see here that they have an icon list and they have an example URL. So for example, if your icon's name is 10D, then you're going to call this URL, and basically all we have to switch out here is this 10D here. So let's copy over this URL. And what we're going to say here is that document.getElementById, and this is going to be our current icon. And this here is .source. Okay, we're telling it what the source of its of the image is, and we're going to use a template literal here. And here, instead of 10D, we're going to switch this out for a variable, and this variable is just going to be current icon. Okay, and let's run that and see. And you can see here that we get an icon for clear sky right here in our forecast, in our current weather. So that's pretty nice. We got data from an API and we displayed it on our app. Let's just do a little bit of styling just to kind of get things here in order. So, hi there, welcome back. So now I'm done with doing some basic styling. Let me just go over what I've done. So I've added a little background color here for our middle section, just so we can kind of see it stand out before we add in the image. And I've added here another section which is kind of a date and the icon that we got from current weather. So here in the future we'll display the current date, and here is the icon for the current weather. I moved clear sky to display up here, and basically these are all just flex boxes. So this is one flex box over here, and here's another flex box, and I just took the margins off all the paragraphs so that this condenses back up into here. And next, I mean, I didn't show you just because I don't want to focus on styling here. I want to focus on, how our app functions. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the forecast, and we're going to display the forecast data. So this is going to be a little more complex, and let's say set forecast, and this will also be async function. And so what do we need to do here basically? what we're going to be tapping into here is the forecast. So let's just say forecast is equal to await simplify weather data. Okay, so it's calling the same this same function over here, but it's tapping into a different part of our object, and that is the simplified forecast that we have here, which if we look up here, we can see the structure of that that object. And we have temperature, we have description, and we have icon. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create an element, because what I put in here is just kind of a holder. But we're going to need to create a new element. So let's call it forecast node. And that's going to be equal to document.create element create element, and these are going to be divs. Okay, so this is a forecast node, but we are going to want to create multiple forecast nodes because we're going to be actually creating one for each day, and we have 7 days. So let's tap into our forecast data, and remember this is an array, so we're going to do forecast dot for each day, and within each day we're going to be creating these nodes and attaching them to our forecast. And let's just see where we're going to be attaching these nodes. So let's put them for now within this forecast wrapper. So let's, up here, let's say forecast wrapper equals document dot get element by ID forecast wrapper. And just remember that some are above case and some are camel case, so just pay attention to that. And now what we can do is, for each day, what we're going to do is we're going to create this forecast node. Here we're going to attach some stuff to this forecast node, and then here on the bottom, what we're going to do is forecast wrapper dot append forecast node. Okay, that's what's going to happen here at the end, but we kind of have to fill in what's going to happen here, which involves creating this element's children and giving them data. So the next thing that we're going to do is, let's say, let's create all the things that we need. So let's see what we need. So we need day of the week. Okay, and that will be also document.create element. And this will be a paragraph. And we are going to need temperature. So let's call it daily temp. And that's also going to be a paragraph. And then we're going to have the daily description. And that will also be a paragraph. And now what we need to do is we need to populate each of these with our data. So this is going to, so the day of the week, in order to tap into the day of the week, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have a external day of the week array that we access using the index of our forecast array and the current date. So let's go up here and let's create a day of the week array. Let's just call it days of the week. And it's just going to be an array with Sunday etc. I'm going to copy this over from our final project just so I don't type it out, and that's basically over here. And just one interesting thing that I want to show you is that I basically copied all the days of the week twice. And that is because, for example, if today is Wednesday, then we are going to start counting from Wednesday, and we're going to add 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, etc. So the very last possible day of the week that today could be is Saturday, and that means that we need a whole nother week after Saturday in order to simplify this process. And when we do it right now, you might understand a little better than my current explanation. So, okay, in order to get the day of the week, so let's just say day of the week dot inner HTML is going to be equal to days of the week, and we need to tap into the index over here. So how are we going to populate this index? So first of all, we're going to want to get the the numerical day of the week of today. So let's go up to where we have information about our date. And looks like we haven't tapped into that yet. So let's declare another variable up here. And let's just call it today. And that's going to be equal to a new date. Okay, and we're going to be tapping into this quite a lot. So first of all, we need equals today and dot get day. Okay, so that'll get us the day of the week from 0 to 6. So 0, so if I just left it like this, then we'd be getting the day today is Monday, so we'd constantly be getting Monday, right? Because 0, 1, 2, etc. And what we want to add on to this is the day.temp.day. Okay, and this basically is sorry, this is the temperature. My bad. What we want to add on to this is the index of this current day in the forecast array, right? Because the forecast is also numbered 0 to 7 and starting from the following day. So basically what we want to add on to here is we're going to add in this for each, we're going to add here index, and here we're going to have index plus 1, okay, because this index will be starting from 0. So if we add 0 onto this, then we should be getting the next day, but we really would be getting today, so we're going to add another 1. Okay, and then let's just check out this for now. So what we're going to do is forecast node dot append, and let's append our day of the week. And let's try running our code. And nothing happened, so it's time for some debugging. As usual, it was a very small and technical issue that I had been using getElement by ID forecast wrapper, but this forecast wrapper was actually a class. So I just added an ID forecast wrapper as well. And now when we run our code, you can see that we have all the days of the week kind of lined up here, starting from tomorrow, Tuesday. So this section of the code works. Obviously, styling-wise, it doesn't look very great. we can actually just fix that up right now by tapping into our forecast wrapper. And let's just make this display flex and flex direction row. And let's give them a gap of 5 pixels. And let's make overflow X scroll. Okay, I gave our forecast wrapper some styling. You can see that our days are just lined up one after the other with an overflow to allow for scrolling. And that's pretty much the outlay of what we're going to be doing. So let's go back to populating these daily forecasts with our data. So the next thing that we're going to want to tap into is the temperature. So that we're just going to have daily temp dot inner HTML equals to day dot, and now we have to see what we called it up here. So that's day.temp, and the daily description is going to be equal to day.description. And one more thing that we're going to want to tap into here that I forgot to mention is, of course, our icon. So let's call this daily icon, and this will be a image element, and we're also going to want to add a class here, and this dot styles dot let's do dot class list dot add, and we're going to want to add the style of icon, and we're going to want to tell it what its source is. So that's daily icon dot source, and here we're going to be using the same URLs that we used over here. Just instead of current icon, we're going to be using day.icon. Great, and now let's make sure that we append all of these elements to our forecast node. So here we're going to want to have daily temp, we're going to want to have description, and we're going to want to have daily icon. Sorry, here this is going to be daily description. Excellent. And now let's run our code. Now we have an error. And let's try and figure out where this error has come in. So let's break up our code a little bit here. So let's see. Let's console.log. Okay, so our code is breaking before this point. And it's breaking before this point. And okay, so our problem here is with the daily description. So we have a daily description, and here I forgot to write .innerHTML. And now we can see that each of our days is populated with a day, a temperature, a description, and an icon. And we can switch these around if we want to aesthetically. Let's say we want this before the description, so it will look something like this. And we can add, also here we can add plus, let's say plus F, and we can use styling to center everything. But this is pretty much the basic outlay of our app. Just going to recap what we've done. We made a call to a location based IP-based API to get our location. We use this location to tap into a weather API where we got our current weather and a forecast for 7 days. And then we use this data to populate our app, and we're displaying the current weather along with a description and an icon, and we're displaying a forecast for 7 days with day of the week, temperature, icon, and description. So if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I wish you luck with developing the rest of your app in terms of styling. And of course the code for the full app is going to be available in the description, so you can check that out if you need any inspiration. And I'll see you next time.